right, Mike Skinner ready to climb out. Let's see the gunslinger right here. Win number 21, and this one is number 6 from the pole position. How about a couple of shots? There it is.
Mike, first of all, thanks for joining us today. I hope you're feeling well. Are you dealing with COVID-19 okay? You and Angie all right?
We are. Right before it really got crazy, Angie went on a cruise with her sister and a couple girlfriends, and I had to go to Denver to look at race cars for Sam. And we both were like, oh my gosh. So we quarantined for 2 weeks, and then we came to the mountains. We were going to only come up here for a week, and then it got worse and worse. So we just stayed in the mountains. It's pretty safe up here where we're at.
We've been doing these weekly interviews, and it's turned out to be kind of a fun deal. So I appreciate you taking the time with us today. I kind of bounce all over the place when I do this to let folks kind of see a side of you that they maybe didn't see when you were in the middle of NASCAR stuff. We try to take it more on a personal level than a professional level. But you started with dirt track, running stock cars, and then you ended up, I guess, working on Rusty Wallace's crew and worked for Penny Enterprise as a crew member. So you were a wrench for them? What were you doing as a crew member?
Well, it's kind of a crazy story. I had a 71 Roadrunner, which was a really fast street car. Ran off the road one night, totaled it out. We decided to build a race car out of it. Started winning races all the time and dirt track championships. Ended up moving to North Carolina and went to work for the Petties, went to work in the engine shop at Petty Enterprises. And when I left the Petties, I went to work for a guy named Cliff Stewart, and he had a driver named Rusty Wallace. It was his rookie year. And so I became a rear tire changer, did body work, we only had 6 guys in the shop. So you're packing wheel bearings one day, setting the car up or straightening the frame another day or whatever, cleaning the toilet when everything else got done. So, and then changing tires on the weekends. So, did that and then decided to, I said, I didn't move back here to work for Rusty or Richard or anybody else for that matter. It was great to spend a couple of years in some of these great shops and kind of learn the ropes of how things work back here. And then I went on and tried to make my own career.
And so how did you get hooked up with Richard Childress as a driver? I mean, you go from being on a crew, all of a sudden you're behind the wheel. That's a quantum leap.
This is the craziest thing you've ever heard. But you know us. Was driving for Gene Petty, Richard Petty's first cousin. And we'd won a late model championship. We were winning about 50% of our races that we ran. Really kicking butt and doing really good. And I was working in the shop one day. I told Gene, I said, I need to go in. At that time, it was called the Bush Series. I said, I'm ready to move up. I want to do stuff. And he said, well, you don't have the sponsorship, this and that and the other. He goes, but if you want to build a car, we'll go run a handful of races. We went to Indy to race the short track. And before I went, I get a call in the office says, Richard Childress would like to talk to you. And I said, okay. So he says, hey, I'm kind of looking for somebody to drive our truck next year. And I said, well, I appreciate the offer. I said, if Earnhardt calls in sick, give me a ring, but I got no interest in driving the truck. And basically hung up. Well, we went to Indy and raced, and we ran up front, was running really, really good and got crashed. And on the way back, we got to thinking about it, went, oh my gosh, they're building a truck series. Richard Childress wants me to drive his race truck, not his dang car hauler. So when I got back to Greensboro, I called Richard. I said, got anybody drive that truck yet? He said, well, there's about 100 people that'd like to drive it, but I kind of wanted you to do it. And we sat down at his desk and I said, hey, what's this gig pay? He sat back, he said, well, I can't make any promises, but, we'll probably give you about $120,000 base pay and 40% of the purse. I had to put my poker face on because at that point I'd never made more than $35,000 in my whole life. So anyway, he goes, well, you don't have to make your mind up right now. Just think about it for a little while and give me a call in a few days. And I said, I'll take the job. And the rest is history. It went on, and we had a lot of success. And to this day, Richard and I are very, very close friends. And, it's been a long time relationship that's always been positive.
And you guys actually won the very first championship, right? When they launched the series, what, 95?
The series started at Phoenix, and qualifying, I dropped a valve or broke a valve spring. We qualified 16th. We came from back there, and I passed Terry Labonte on the last lap to win. I won the very first race.
I still think he's in a whole lot for a while.
Mike side by side, down in turn one, coming up out of turn two.
Boy, Labonte is right there. He is not going to let this one get away.
I tell you, I'm sure Terry's going to drive on into turn three awful deep.
This is it. Skinner ekes out an advantage. Will Labonte cross and dive under? He'll try it. Single file off the corner. Labonte can't get there. Mike Skinner will go to victory lane.
We swept both races that year at Phoenix and sealed the deal. It was pretty cool.
And you raced in all three series of the top tier of NASCAR, the Busch Series, Infinity Series, the Cup Series, the Truck Series. Is there one moment, you've qualified on the pole, the Daytona 500. Is there a moment that you're sitting in that seat, and I know where you came from, and where you say to yourself, you got to pinch yourself, is this really me? Did you have one of those moments in the middle of it, or do you not have time because you're so trying to be focused? Where is there one of those that sticks out to you?
Every week, every race, I had that moment, and it was a great opportunity. Winning Phoenix was really, really cool because Terry Labonte was really tough back in them days, and he had just won a championship. Matter of fact, he won the championship that year, I believe, and it was really, really cool. Winning Japan 2 out of 3 times was cool.
Across the stripe, winning the NASCAR Thunder Special Suzuka is car number 31. Mike Skinner, Susanville, California, has done it here in Japan.
In 1997 was my rookie year, and we went and tested, and we had a pretty good car. That was back when everybody was putting, I call them ink pen springs in the back of the cars. Now NASCAR tells you what spring you're going to run on the back of the car, but at that time you could run anything you wanted. And everybody had the cars slammed completely on the ground, and they drove terribly. But they were fast. And so we went and just focused, because I was a rookie. They said, we want this car to stay under you all day. Let's really work on the attitude of the car. So we worked on the attitude of the car.
Heading for turn 3, first lap. And the rookie, Mike Skinner, is on the point.
Dale Jarrett got a very bad start there. He dropped back. You can see he's not even in the picture as we look at the front cars there. He switched all the way back to 6th spot. He did not get off the line very well then.
Those Chevrolets up front really got off to a good start. Mike Skinner and Steve Grissom.
We went back in July and set on the pole again, but that time, the first time, it drove like a Cadillac. The next time, it absolutely was a handful, and I was turning right coming off the corner, and just turning right at 195 miles an hour was crazy. The car was so loose, and I just held on and wouldn't let off the gas. I had a refuse to lose attitude back then, which that attitude really probably hurt my career overall as time went on, but that's just how I was. I was all or nothing.
Come to know you through the V-Rock series and road racing, and I don't think anybody knows how good a road racer you are. I watched you at Atlanta last year. You were in second place when you took the car 20-something seconds behind little Al, who's
32.
There you go, 32 seconds behind little L. And I know for a fact the car you had isn't the car he had, and you ran him down. And I think, I've seen a lot of very good road racers with the V-Rock series. I did not think of you as that level, and you put on a clinic that day. Tell us about that. Do you still have the fire in your belly when you go racing? Is it still fun?
Heck yeah.
It seemed it that day anyway.
Heck yes, every time. And I love the V-Rock series. We get to race with people that were my heroes, What a brilliant idea that you had coming up with that. And I just got to throw out, it's guys like Sam LeCompte that on a short notice brings 4 cars for you to Virginia the first time I drove. The Clouds, Scott Bruschetta, all of these guys, there's too many to mention, but your whole group in SVRA of owners give their babies to these crazy ass NASCAR and Indy and Formula One drivers and road race specialists, and let us just go drive the wheels off of them. And it's just really, really cool that those people do that. You got a great support system with SVRA in the paddock, which makes this possible. So, yeah, every time I get in there, I really like it, and really felt like we had a shot to win the championship, and we missed out because some guy ran over Sam on the first lap at Indy. We probably would have had a podium finish there, and definitely felt like we could have won VIR. We had that same car. We had that thing going. It was fast. We have a better bullet this year, we think. I haven't drove a lap in it yet, but we finally got a C3 car and a big block.
How we met with you and Angie was through Hope for the Warriors, and that became one of our signature foundations that we support with V-Rock.
Well, when I decided to get out of the seat full-time and retire as a full-time NASCAR driver, man, I was lost. I didn't know what the heck I was going to do. I was depressed. You go along and you're the quarterback for years and years and years on the football team. And then all of a sudden they make you the water boy. You're like, what just happened here? I used to be somebody. I did a golf outing and golfed with a couple of veterans that I went back and I told Angie, I said, if I ever whine again about, what am I going to do now that I'm not a big time NASCAR driver? Just hit me with something. And that's when we really got deeply involved with Hope for the Warriors.
You ran the black number 3 with Childress and in the heyday of Earnhardt, frankly, the heyday of NASCAR. And you went through that series, and then you came back out and you raced for Bill Davis in a Toyota. You're like first guy coming out with Toyota. Tell me, how did that come about?
I think we were either the first driver, one of the first drivers that Toyota signed. And they always liked, they looked at me as a veteran, and they always wanted me to chime in. And they had decided that we want a couple cagey veterans in our series, and we want some up-and-coming superstars. And at that time, Bill Davis wasn't even going to do a truck team. So anyway, it worked out really, really well, and we won races and kind of resurrected our career.
Flies, half a mile for Mike Skinner.
Spotter Mike Swain going to top him through it. He's got about a 2-truck rank lead right now.
Oh, he's got it made. He's sailing down into turn 3, nice and easy, right on the bottom like he's been all day long. He looks up. He sees the flag in the air. Mike Skinner. What a day.
Dominant performance for Mike Skinner. He wins his 22nd career race at Martinsville Speedway, celebrating 3 in a row now for Mike Skinner.
And I really feel like it was good for Bill Davis Racing as well, because he had a cup team, and they had like 3 cup cars or two full-time cup cars. And every once in a while they'd pop me in the cup car just for feedback. They say the motors aren't no good. Well, we went to Vegas with the 3rd backup car. They qualified. The other 2 cars, I'm not mentioning people's names. The other 2 cars was 40th and 41st, and we qualified 5th. And so our little team meeting, I said, well, it's not the motor, boys. You're going to have to mash the gas and turn left. You're going to have to be committed.
I see you got a Goodwood hat on. You've met the Duke, and Charles is a gracious gentleman. Tell us about your experience at Goodwood. Everybody says I need to build a Goodwood in America, and what they don't understand is that's not possible.
Goodwood is very, very special. I got first. The reason I went there the first time I was working for Red Bull. Well, they decided to take a car to Goodwood just as an exhibition. So we go over there, and I get in this crazy car, and I just start doing burnouts. And I did a burnout from the start-finish line all the way to the top of the hill. Charles named me the driver of the event. You know, it was so cool. So I did that a couple of years, and then hooked up with a guy, and he said, why don't we buy one of your old trucks and let you trick it out? We'll take it over there and see what kind of lap time, see what kind of time we can get going up the hill. And at that time, Rusty Wallace had the record. Me and Rusty just keep on connecting again. Lo and behold, we went and beat his record pretty good our first try.
Towards that wall, Henry, 38.0 through the next a little bit of oversteer. He was going towards the wall. He was going towards the bales. He's half a second off at that last intermediate split. We come back on board with him. This is mental stuff as he goes through the last left-hander, and this is going to be 130 plus miles an hour as he crosses the finish line. And he's done it. 50.44, 132 miles an hour. He goes to the top of the pile.
While we're talking about the UK, you did a TV tour. The Grand Tour was the name of the show. You were the American.
Yep, here he comes. It's the American.
Come to England, shit weather, shit beer, 3 liters, 6 cylinders. This thing wouldn't pull a greasy string out of a dog's ass. Where I come from,
you test driving all these exotics. What's that about? You're an American NASCAR guy. What are you doing in that foreign stuff? What was that about?
I got to drive this car one time. It's called a Vulcan, and it was like a $4 million car or $3 million car. It's crazy. So I'm hot lapping this thing on this road course that we made over there. I spin the thing around, back it into the bushes, and I drive it back down there, and all these guys are going, oh my God, the underbody deal, the air deflector in the back, 25,000 pounds, what it would cost to replace that. I said, well, is it hurt? Oh, I don't know. I don't think so. I said, well, let's get on with it then. And so they said, oh God, this is our guy, you know, because I didn't care. And and my role, I was acting. My role was basically to hate anything British, hate anything that they were doing. Only thing I liked was Mustangs and Camaros and Corvettes, and you know, American muscle only for me.
Somebody that in your racing days just flat got under your skin, and that no matter what, it's probably not going to be right between you. Do you have a top 5? I mean,
I don't know that any of them that I didn't get along with off the track. But Jeff Bodine and I seemed like whenever we were anywhere around each other, he was wrecking me or I was wrecking him. And it usually ended up, if you hit me, if I'm going in the swimming pool, you're coming with me, pal. And so that's how that went. But, you know, Ron Hornaday and Jack Sprague and I had an amazing, in the mid-'90s, rivalry that I don't want to pat the three of us on the back, but it made the truck series. It made the truck series where people wanted to watch truck racing because there was sparks flying every lap. And we drove like 3 idiots that we was not going to eat if we didn't win that week. And we all drove like that. Jeff Bodine and I raced each other. We only wrecked each other in trucks 2 or 3 times. In the Cup Series, it was ugly. So he's probably my number 1, and I love him to death as a person. We get along off the racetrack amazing. When he had his bad truck race, Angie and I raced to the hospital and went and checked on him before, you know, the dust had settled. So I don't have too many guys that I would say that I hate. There's a few people I hate racing around just because they're idiots and they don't understand how to race. But,
leading up to this, I was doing a little homework, getting ready, you know, I make sure that I'm on my game. And word has it that you play pickleball.
Pickleball. It's not pickle.
Pickleball. And
wait till our next drivers meeting. I'm going to get up and talk to you like you talk to drivers.
What the hell is pickleball? Is that like tennis for senior citizens or what? I went online. I never heard of it. I had to go online. And it's got like a little kiddie court with a little racket and a wiffle ball. What the big NASCAR tough guy doing pickleball for old ladies? What the hell is that?
The bad part of it is one of our neighbors down here is like in her 70s, and she kicks my ass all the time playing pickleball. So
I rest my case.
Yes, it's great exercise. You know, I've got 4 knee operations, back surgeries. I've been broken neck. I've had it all. And for me to be at a full run and have to cut like you do on a tennis court, it's just too hard on my legs and on my body. So Angie found out about pickleball, and it's all her fault. She got me doing it. And we have got addicted to it. It's a great workout. Matter of fact, when I'm up here in the mountains and we play 2 or 3 times a week, and I play golf 2 or 3 times a week, I actually get in better shape. It's my training for V-Rock, Tony. Just cut me a little bit of slack here, bud.
All right. Well, I'm going to give you a hall pass for that then. If you're training for V-Rock, that's good enough for me. Hey,
yeah, it's easy. You can come try it. Some 70-year-old lady will kick your ass, too.
I guarantee you they could. Man, it's always good to see you. Thanks for doing this. Well, hopefully we'll get back on the racetrack soon. But in the meantime, stay healthy and tell your bride I said hello.
You do the same. And listen, I love SVRA racing. I love vintage racing. I just cannot say enough how appreciative I am of Sam LeCompte and you hooking the 2 of us together, letting me drive his cars and go out and have fun in this deal. So in closing, I will say ditto to you. Look forward to seeing you. See you at the racetrack.